Sometimes Spanish can be really tricky when there are very minor differences in similar words or expressions.
For example, do you know when to correctly use desde, desde hace, and desde que?
Now, each of these has to do with time, but they're not interchangeable. And using the wrong one is a super common mistake, even for intermediate speakers.
So today, we're going to explain each of these time expressions, and we'll have a little quiz at the end just for fun to make sure you got them down.
But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you still haven't, and give this video a like. It really helps us out. Okay, let's start with desde. We use desde to talk about the starting point of an action or an event that's still happening now. So when used this way, desde will mean since. So for example, I've been playing the guitar since 2004.
Toco la guitarra desde 2004.
So in this sentence, we know exactly when the action began, 2004, and the action is still happening now. Now you may have noticed that if you translate our English sentence literally, you would actually get the verb in the present perfect tense.
He tocado la guitarra desde 2004.
And that's because in Spanish, we can use the present tense or the present perfect tense when we talk about an action that was started in the past that we're still doing today. But just for simplicity's sake, in all of our examples, we're just going to use the present tense.
We can use desde with dates like desde enero, or specific times like desde las 10 de la mañana, or events such as desde mi cumpleaños.
So knowing that, let's see a few more examples. How would we say, I've lived in this neighborhood since January?
Vivo en esta colonia desde enero.
So remember, we use desde when we talk about a specific point in time when an action or event began. So in this case, January, and it's something that's still going on. So I still live in this neighborhood. Let's see another one. She's worked in customs since Monday.
Ella trabaja en la aduana desde el lunes.
Okay, pretty simple. We know when to use desde. But now, what if we wanted to ask somebody a question like, since when have you been doing something? We're going to use desde cuándo. Okay, so for example, since when have they been together?
¿Desde cuándo están juntos?
And we could answer, they've been together since their graduation in 2010.
Están juntos desde su graduación en 2010.
Since when have you had this book?
¿Desde cuándo tienes este libro?
I've had this book since my childhood.
Tengo este libro desde mi infancia.
Now, what if you don't want to say the starting date of an event or an action, but the duration of the amount of time that you've been doing something?
That's when we'll use desde hace.
Right. Let's go back to our guitar example. So what if I were to say, I've been playing the guitar for 20 years?
Toco la guitarra desde hace 20 años.
So just like when we used desde, we're talking about an action or an event that started in the past and is still happening. But here, we're not saying since 2004, but rather for 20 years.
Desde hace is always followed by a time expression, like 2 meses, 3 días, 10 años, mucho tiempo, un rato, etc.
So let's see a few examples. They've been arguing about the same thing for a while now.
Están discutiendo sobre lo mismo desde hace un rato.
So you see here we need desde hace un rato because we're talking about a duration of time that something's been going on. We're not talking about since the starting point. Okay, let's see another one. I've been waiting for you for over an hour.
Te estoy esperando desde hace más de una hora.
Now, don't forget that Spanish is very flexible when it comes to word order, and we can put things like desde hace at the end of a sentence or at the beginning. But we need to be careful when desde hace is at the beginning of the sentence. We need to add an extra que to connect the two clauses. Let's show you an example of what we mean. We haven't spoken for over a year.
No hablamos desde hace más de un año, or Desde hace más de un año que no hablamos.
Okay, now let's go over one example that demonstrates that although you can ask a question in Spanish using desde cuando, you can actually respond with desde or desde hace, depending on what you want to express. Since a certain date or for a duration of time. So let's see this example.
¿Desde cuándo viven en Chile?
So this could express since when have you lived in Chile or for how long you've lived in Chile. So we could respond with we've lived in Chile since 2010.
Vivimos en Chile desde 2010.
Or we've lived in Chile for 5 months.
Vivimos en Chile desde hace 5 meses.
Okay? I think we got it. Now, a lot of you have asked us if we offer online Spanish classes, and trust me, we've definitely thought about it. It's something we'd love to do someday, but for now, it's just not something that we're offering. But that actually sparked a pretty awesome idea. We decided to team up with Máximo Nivel, my personal go-to school for Spanish immersion and volunteering. They've got amazing campuses in Guatemala, in Peru, and in Costa Rica. So not only do you get to learn Spanish, but you also get to explore some pretty incredible places too. I studied in Guatemala a few years back and just got back from filming my time with them in Peru. Spoiler alert, it was epic. You can check out that video here, and we'll also drop the link in the description of this video. Now, I totally get that not everyone can just pack up and fly to Latin America for immersion. So for those of you looking for something a bit more flexible, we've got you covered. Máximo Nivel also offers online Spanish classes, and we've partnered with them to hook you up with a free trial class. Just use the link www.maximonivel.com/anytimeespanol. That way, you can take everything that you're learning from our videos and actually practice it with an awesome native Spanish teacher from Latin America. It's a great way to take things to the next level. Big thanks to Máximo Nivel for helping us make this happen. Now, what if you want to use desde, but it's not followed by a specific date or a duration of time, but rather by a full sentence?
That's when we'll use desde que.
Let's go back to our guitar example. I've been playing the guitar since I was 17.
Toco la guitarra desde que tenía 17 años.
So I'm not specifying a specific date, like in our first example, 2004. And I'm not specifying a duration of time, like for 20 years, like in our second example, but rather afterwards I have a full clause with a subject and a verb. So that's when we need to use desde que. So let's see a few more examples like this. I've worked remotely since the pandemic started.
Trabajo remoto desde que empezó la pandemia.
So you see here, we're using the word since, desde, but afterwards we don't have a specific time or a duration of time, but rather a subject and a verb, since the pandemic started. So we need desde que. They haven't spoken since they broke up.
No se hablan desde que cortaron.
Since I left that job, I've been more relaxed.
Desde que dejé ese trabajo, estoy más relajado.
We've argued less since we started going to therapy.
Discutimos menos desde que empezamos a ir a terapia.
She's been different since she found out the truth.
Está diferente desde que supo la verdad.
Okay, so we've cleared up when to use desde, desde hace, and desde que. But let's take a little quiz to see if we fully understand when to use which. So in this case, Darcy is going to say a sentence in Spanish and leave a part blank, and you need to try to see if you can respond with desde, desde hace, or desde que before we answer. Ready? Here we go.
Mi coche tiene un ruido blank unos días. Desde hace. Mi coche tiene un ruido desde hace unos días.
So this is a duration of time for some days, for a few days. So we need desde hace.
Vemos esa serie de televisión blank, contraté Netflix. Desde que. Vemos esa serie de televisión desde que contraté Netflix.
So here we have since and then a full clause with a subject and verb, not a specific date or a duration of time. So we need desde que.
No veo a mis primos, blank, las vacaciones de verano. Desde. No veo a mis primos desde las vacaciones de verano.
So here we have since and then a specific point in time, since the summer holidays. So we need desde.
Blank, te conozco, siempre has trabajado como mesera. Desde que. Desde que te conozco, siempre has trabajado como mesera.
So here we have since followed by a full clause, since I've known you, so we need desde que.
Me siento mucho mejor, blank, un par de semanas. Desde hace. Me siento mucho mejor desde hace un par de semanas.
So here we've been feeling better for a couple of weeks. It's a duration of time, so we need desde hace.
Blank, el mes pasado que no pago mi seguro de la casa. Desde. Desde el mes pasado que no pago mi seguro de la casa.
So here we have since a starting point, we haven't done something, so we have desde.
So, how did you do? Did you get them all right?
Leave us a comment and let us know. Also, while you're at it, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you still haven't.
And a big thank you to all our supporters and members on Patreon, on YouTube, and a big thanks to Mark Pataki for your Buy Me a Coffee donation.
Yeah, muchas gracias. Now watch this video to keep improving your Spanish. Until next time.